Should be noted that there is an assembly guide up right now on the Facebook group for Return of the Tripods. I think it'll also eventually, with all the assembly guides that are being created, get centralized on Abby Normal Media's website. I built this guy before there was a guide involved. These are kind of like my experiences, maybe real world, what was done, how I found things. So you can use this in conjunction with that if it's helpful. Right on. How do you deal with installing these turrets, and how's it go? Well, sand off, and this is resin, so this is nasty. I've got a wet paper towel next to me. If I was really being careful, I'd probably have a mask on. But sand the tops and the bottoms with a sanding stick and maybe a little bit on the edges, and see if you can fit it this way. And when that is fitting well, such that, about a quarter of it is sticking through, then use your handy old tweezers in the right configuration, snake this, flip this upside down, snake this between the tracks so the gun barrel is coming out one of these ports, and then push it through. The same has to be done for these machine guns, and unlike the A7Vs, I actually sanded these a bit so that they're fitting really well. And then once they're like this, what you can do is just tack a little super glue underneath where it's not going to show, and that'll hold it in place. And then also priming it will hold it in place as well too. If you've got the K Wagon, A, you are all quieting on the Martian Front correctly. Good job. But B, this is quite a little showpiece kit, so you want to do this right. So yeah, take your time, sand, don't breathe deeply, and just, test fit and go. Now, you're probably going to find that you're going to use your tweezers. I would go with these big guys first, then graduate to machine guns, these rear ones next, and you'll practice and see how that goes. Then you should be able to do the rear, the front, these two sides, but the ones that were extra tricky are these machine guns way out here on these, what do we call them? Redoubts. Oh, forgive me. There's a word for that. So way out there, and the reason is you just physically cannot get an angle correct enough to get down in there. So what do you do? So one idea I had is get a slightly curved stick or a pipe cleaner or something like that, put a little sticky tack on that. You'd probably be able to fish it through. I think that would be the smart way to go. What I did was the gambler's man version of that, which is drop the machine gun in there, put it in this orientation. So this is the machine gun we're trying to get all the way down onto that firing position. And then from underneath here, shaking the machine gun around a little bit, you are going to stop when, we're going to use this as the example, as the hole that we're trying to go through, when you can see the tip of the barrel sticking like that. Then carefully in the orientation, however your K Wagon is, don't move. Take your tweezers, grab that barrel and pull it through. And then once keep holding on that, take your finger, put it as far back in there. In fact, yeah, I can touch this. Put it back in there and hold that. Now that sucker's not going to come out on you. You're holding it in place, and you can rotate it upside down or whatever orientation you need. The little slits on the cannons face upward. I think I did all my machine guns backwards. I think let's see if I can get it to focus. I think the heat shielding's supposed to be on top, and I've got it on the bottom. I mean, honestly, who is really going to know? You're going to know. That might drive you crazy. So, yeah, we can confirm the orientations there. But this guy is the trickiest one. So do all the other machine guns and guns first, and then graduate up to these two. And just have some patience and fun and luck of the K Wagon, and you'll get there. Now it's time to magnetize. Take your magnet of choice, glue it to the center of your turret emplacements, and let dry for at least 24 hours. All right, so here's the idea for magnetization. We're going to take some of this milliput, knead it up, stuff it inside the turret, pack it in, and then we'll be able to place that down because this is too high. We'll glue that in there, and that should allow us to have magnetized turrets. That's the plan. All right, let's give it a go. So sorry, I realize I'm not very clear on what I mean by the magnet being too high. There are two magnets there now. So initially you're gluing one magnet down into place. Once that's dry for 24 hours, take another magnet and just place it on top, not glued down. That's going to be the magnet, obviously, that goes inside the turret. So now you have two magnets stacked on top of one another. You'll notice I also have this Sharpie pen next to me. Yeah, mark a little dot on top of each of the magnets so you know the orientation. Because sometimes if the milliput or whatever you're using as filler pulls up the magnet, it could flip it around loose on the table and you might not know which way the orientation is anymore. But if you've got a Sharpie dot, you'll know which way you need to glue. You're going to glue the Sharpie dot inward so you cannot see it. All right. You'll notice I've got a little bowl of water, some paper towels, and a Q-tip. I'm using all of those things in conjunction with one another to clean up where the milliput gets that I don't want it to get to. I also use a little bit of the water in the mixing process too, just find it helps. So you've patiently waited for all your turrets to dry and everything's good there. Funnily enough, the milliput really grabbed onto these and just like a little bit is cured over the top of those. There's no super glue involved in there yet. If they ever pop loose, I'll obviously have the option to super glue them in there easily. But this is how they are. They're good, they're hard, they're cured up, and wham, they go right in. You may find that as you're working on your play feature, you don't like the way something twists or something goes a little odd. You can always take a little sandpaper or hobby knife and clean out some of the milliput to give you a smoother turret action. K Wagon, now with smooth turret action.
Take that, tripod!
Right? And really, why do this at all? I mean, some people might not. You might just glue your turrets down. But for me, it's about, you want the drama and the majesty of your K Wagon, dramatically moving and then taking aim at those tripods, right? That's way cooler. A few notes on this guy, this top turret here. So you could do the same. You could put a covering here. You could fill this full up or partially up with filler and do a magnet like that. It's really probably just not needed though. This thing's so big and broad and just fits in here fine. This keeps it nice and light too. So I plan to just leave it as is. I would say if you are planning to use fixed positions, not magnetizing your turrets at all, no play features, I don't know, your world is grayer and darker than mine. No, I'm just kidding. That's perfectly fine. But I wouldn't glue it down until you're fully painted, because this exterior ring, which is probably a more metallic color than the whole color, with that turret on there, would be really darn hard to paint that. So leave it separate and then paint and then glue down. Also, this turret, you might find it's really tight. You're gonna want to sand that ring, and then once it gets in there, you're gonna want to really push and rotate this guy around so that you start to get better play, and you're gonna see the friction is gonna pull off, right, some of that resin. So until you get that turret just kind of worked in there good, like you expect, yeah, that's how to deal with that turret. So cool. I hope this video was helpful. Yeah, enjoy. Catch y'all later.